what are some of the epiphanies that you guys had? Specifically, what are some that you had? Let me know. So let's see. The 9 elements. Okay. My marketing sucks. That's a good epiphany. That's always good. I taught myself to understand instead of studying a script. Yeah, that's huge, guys. That is huge. You can't just rely on a script. That is no bueno. After I'm successful, I quit. No more coaches for me. Need to learn how to tell a story. Yeah, so we're going to do a lot of storytelling today. A ton of storytelling. So in a minute, I'm going to bring some of you guys on, and we're going to do some role play, which I think you'll find pretty awesome. But in the meantime, or before we do that, I want to propose a mindset adjustment, if you will. And I know nobody likes the term mindset, but I have a question for you. And just true or false, just type in the chat, true or false, that's all I need to know. Number one is, if you fully believe something will work, if you fully have confidence, 100%, would you do everything in your power to make it work? And do you think it would work if you gave it your all, 100%, you had no doubt whatsoever? Yes? True? True? Okay, great. So here's a question. If you knew, moving on from yesterday into today, if you knew when it comes to your marketing that if you created a magnetic personality, if you adjusted how you used words, if you made a decision to not be the yellow water with sugar guy, my question to you is, if you were 100% sure you would not fail, if you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt you could not fail, what are the next couple things you would do? I want you to post those in the chat. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What are the next couple things you would do over the next week or two if you were 100% sure you could not fail? So I want to see this in the chat. But don't just say implement, guys. Give me specifics. So build a team, implement. I would finally do the dreaded video, learn the principles and start using them for posts. Work on my visibility, build a team. Practice, get out and promote. Okay? Hardcore marketing and lives. Put out more content. Send out better ads. Post a sales page. Content. Let the whole world know about it. Okay? So I'm noticing something here. Build a lead funnel. Now, I've read off a lot of stuff from the chat. Now, this is going to blow your mind. Let me ask you this. How long have you been putting off that thing you just said you would do if you knew you could not fail? Let me know in the chat. How long have you been putting that off? How long have you been putting that off? Forever, 2 years, 5 months, 18 years, couple months, 1 year, 1 month, 3 months, 3 months, 20 years. Okay. Now I want you to listen to what I'm about to say extremely carefully. This little social experiment that we have just done here proves one thing. The main thing holding you back from having everything you want in life is belief. It is belief. Now, listen, you can hear other speakers say that, but I wanted to break it down for you. If you knew you could not fail, you would do X, Y, and Z. And you just said that you've been putting off X, Y, and Z because of the fact that you didn't believe. But if you did believe, you would do it. And if you did it and you believed it and you gave your all, you would succeed. So what is really the only difference between those two situations, the procrastination and the doing, is belief. That is it. The real true reason is that it's not that you're a procrastinator. It's not that you're overwhelmed. It's not that you don't have enough time. You don't believe enough. That's it. You don't believe, because that's what everybody just said here. The only reason you're not doing the thing you already know you should be doing is because you just don't believe enough. That's it. You have to have belief. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to attempt to increase that belief in you by showing you some examples of how this stuff actually works, doing some role playing, and as well teaching you some stuff to show you just how easily you can create a personal brand, and you can create stories, and you can create content that sells. Because I need you to get your belief up to a high enough level that you'll actually do it. That is my goal for you today. Does that sound like a good goal? Say yes in the chat if that sounds like a good goal. Yes? All right. Great. So with that said, oh man, the chat is lighting up. Ooh, I got the AC on now too. I'm feeling good. All right. So do I sound like I'm in the tunnel? I'm metallic. Do I sound weird, guys? I can reset my microphone if I do. Okay. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I just had it backwards. How does this sound? Does this sound better? It sounds good. I had the microphone backwards. Did everybody hear what I said? That was such a good segment, and I had the microphone backwards. Can you see? Things just don't go to plan sometimes, and you just press on. You keep going. Okay, so we're good. All right, fantastic. Okay. Oh, here's a funny thing. So yesterday, and guys, just so you know, nothing ever goes to plan. To be clear, that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep doing it. So here's the thing: is I have these dice, these like stress ball dice that I bring with me to every event because I love that analogy of the dice, right? The magic dice. And from what I saw in the chat, you guys did too, because it's a real eye opener. And I always bring these so that I have a prop. I love props. I can be like, would you like the red dice or would you like the white dice? But I forgot them. I thought I left them in Costa Rica. So I'm a professional. So I just drew it on the whiteboard. But the entire time, these were in the other room. So I just found them this morning. Okay. Can I get a confirmation from the ClickFunnels team that my audio sounds good? Because there's something I can do to reset it. I don't want to continue if my audio's messed up. Are we good, guys? You're good? Yes? It's very soft. There is a workbook for today. You guys will be getting it. Audio is not great. All right, let me do something real quick. I don't want to keep going if you guys are having trouble with audio. Give me 60 seconds. Is this any better? Is this any better? Is this any better? Let me know. Let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Yes? Sounds good? All right. Okay. All right. All right, fantastic. Okay, so I need to bring somebody on because I want to illustrate something to you. I need somebody who can tell me what they sell, and please make sure you actually have a product. We can talk about offer clarity and all that another time. But for right now, you have a product, you have customers, and you have a story that you can tell around buying your product, right? So I want somebody to come on who has an offer and who has a story that they can tell, and someone who hasn't been on yet. I want to be fair to everybody. Okay, Malik says, I have a bookkeeping service. Good, Malik. Can we get Malik on? Malik or Malik? I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
It's Malik.
Malik.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, what do you sell bookkeeping services, correct?
Yes, I'm an accountant.
You're an accountant, okay? Is that like you're a CPA accountant?
No, I'm a degreed accountant. I'm not a CPA, but I do accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, and things of that nature.
And who do you normally sell to?
Individuals and small to medium-sized businesses.
Okay. And that would be, give me an example of a business. Like, who's your best client? Like, who's a client that you're just like, they're so easy to sell, they're so easy to fulfill, and everything's amazing. What is that client?
I have a client in the security business. He's a security person. He's an investigator, that type of thing. He does security work for different clients, and he's my biggest fan.
Okay. Do you have any other security PIs as your client?
Yeah, one other one, but it's primarily, you say the best client. I think he's the best. I have real estate people. I have truckers. I have a lot of individuals with own property, and right off the
do me a favor. Do me a favor, Malik. give me one belief that if they don't believe this, they can't buy from you. They have to believe this in order to buy.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand you.
Yeah, that's fine. So, for instance, let me give you an example. If I don't believe that intermittent fasting works, I would have no reason to buy your intermittent fasting iPhone app, right? Like,
Okay.
I'm not going to buy an intermittent fasting iPhone app if I don't believe intermittent fasting works. Or if I'm 3% body fat professional bodybuilder, I don't need it either. So that wouldn't be the target market. But
Right.
the first person would be, I don't believe intermittent fasting works, right? So
Right.
that would be a core belief they have to have, that you'd have to change their mind on before you can even begin to offer your service. So can you name one of those for your service?
That don't believe my bookkeeping or accounting service don't work.
For instance, QuickBooks or TurboTax or something like that is good enough, right? Like,
Right.
if I think that I can do my own books, why would I hire you? Correct?
Right. Right.
So that is a belief that they have to fundamentally have, is I should not do I should not do my own books. And by the way, I noticed that I see, wait, let me see something here. Audio. Testament. Oh, I see the problem. Okay, Tess, how's this for the audio?
That sounds a lot better.
Oh my goodness. I had the wrong microphone on. The microphone's sitting over here.
Right.
Well,
I hear you a lot better now.
fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. Well, hopefully my little rah speech at the beginning is still good to go. Okay. So let me repeat the question.
Okay.
If they think they don't need an account, let's say they have a small business and they think their business is simple and they don't need an accountant for their business. That's definitely a bad belief. Like they can't have that belief to hire you, correct?
Right.
Do you have any stories that you tell around shifting that belief?
Yeah, I tend to try and encourage clients to, well, this one particular client, she's been burnt 2 or 3 times by accountants and or CPAs, and she's locked into doing her own stuff, doing her own books, but she can't put together the good P&L statement and balance sheet from the QuickBooks. So at the end of the year, she hires me to do the actual forming of the financial statements, closing of the years, things of this nature. I just haven't been able to encourage her to trust, accountants, to the extent that she give the service and do what you do. She's an optometrist. She's an eye doctor, right? Do what you do and let me handle the backroom stuff, And I just haven't been able to word it right and communicate it effectively to her at this point. But this is one of the challenges that I've got,
Do you have a story that do you have a story you can tell around that?
Sure. The story that I like, I don't know how effective it is that a friend of mine and I graduated from school back in the 80s, right? And he graduated from the University of Chicago with an MBA in information systems. And I graduated from U of I here in Chicago with an accounting degree. And he decided to go visit his parents. And going to visit his parents, I agreed to go with him because he was planning to go up and down the East Coast, right? We went to Pennsylvania, we went to Washington, we went to New York, and went to places that I hadn't gone to before, And finally, we drove into Newport News. That's where his parents lived at. And these big ships were sitting out in the bay. And, just amazing to see these type of things, right? But while en route to Newport News, we were driving up and down the hills in Pennsylvania, up, down, up the hill, you get a lot of sunlight and clarity, and down the valley, it gets, all of a sudden, a fog kicks in, you can't see nothing, and if it wasn't for the little white lines in the middle of the road, you would maybe run off the road, right? I tell clients that sometimes you need to have you need to look at bookkeeping like the little line in the road to keep you on track, toward your goals, to your destination, right? And I use that analogy to kind of encourage people to, hey, you got to have somebody holding your hand or directing you. If that's not what you do, if you're an accountant, of course, you probably can do your own books, right? But if you are eye doctor or you're a security person or engineer, whatever, you need to, even myself, I've done projects and things that I couldn't do. I hired engineers to do it, electrical persons and concrete people. I hired people to do the things that they do, and I did what I did, and everything came through my office, right? So
yeah, okay. So let me give you. I'll give you a couple tips on that story, and then I'll kind of share a story of mine and pretend that I was you. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay, so first thing I would do when you start that story is you want to start it with something that captures the attention of the person so that it's worth them hearing the resolution of the story, right? So you could start by saying something like, there's this one time we almost drove off the side of a cliff on a Pennsylvania in the fall.
Right, that'll grab some.
You see what I'm saying?
That'll grab somebody's attention.
And here's what happened. I was there with my like all that backstory about, I don't even remember what you said. It's the guy going to some college or whatever. That is fodder, right? That can be like, I was with my buddy and then like 5 seconds of backstory, right? Because none of that had anything to do with following the lines in the road. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see how that related at all, right? So we're driving down the road, and it was so foggy that in order to we couldn't see the road, we couldn't see ahead of us, we couldn't even see the cliff. In other words, we are driving, and we can't even see if we're 6 inches from the edge or we're 3 feet from the edge. The only thing we had was that yellow line in the road. And what I did was I tried to keep my wheel right on the edge of that yellow line, because that was the only way that I could make sure I didn't fly off the cliff. That was it, right?
Yeah, right.
And, I think today as an accountant that this makes me think of business owners who do their own accounting. Everything is a fog because they're so busy with their business that their clarity around their numbers, their clarity around what's going on in their books is foggy because they got too much going on with their business. Not to mention, they just might not know all the accounting tricks because they're good at what they do. And so all they have is that little line in the road, and that little line is probably like TurboTax or QuickBooks or something like that. But here's the thing. We had to slow our vehicle down to a crawl where it took forever to get to our destination. And at any point, if we just messed up once, we could have gone off the cliff.
Yeah.
And it's the same with a business owner. You're getting to where you need to go slower because you can't see anything and you're worried about your books when you should be worried about your business. And you miss things. Like maybe you hit a dog in the road you wouldn't have hit because you can't see them. And the other thing is not everybody has as steady of a hand as my buddy did when he was driving.
Right.
Some business owners drive off the cliff.
Right.
And so that's why I became an accountant, to clear the fog, to make sure that I can not only drive the car for you, but in amazing weather so that there is no storm in your business and you can focus on what you do best. So something like that, right?
Right. Yeah, it's more so the specifics of the guidance and instructions,
Right. Now I can tell, I'm going to be telling this story later today, but there's a story from my life I could relate to it. So my father is an interesting man. My grandfather, his father was a German physicist, and he invented the first sound wave gun that the U.S. Navy still uses today. But my dad was different. My dad became a radio disc jockey on the beach of Daytona Beach, and primarily would would DJ and just hang out with beach girls. That was my dad's. But I remember one time I did an essay in college, and the essay was talk to your father or your mother, pick one, and do an essay about their most memorable moment in their entire life. Well, the one my dad gave me was he used to work as a roadie for the Shadows of Night back in the 60s, who did that song Gloria, Gloria, Gloria. And one time he was at the record plant in New York City, and he was in the green room, and Jimi Hendrix came into the room, sat down, lit up a joint, and smoked it with my dad, and then proceeded and then invited him to a party that night with Jim Morrison and a few other guys. And that right there was my dad's most impactful moment of his life. So the point I'm trying to make is he was not a science guy. He was not an entrepreneur guy. He was that guy, right? But believe it or not, my father taught me multiple things that I took into business that have ended up making me millions. And one of them was this. When I was in my early 20s, I worked at Domino's with my dad, okay? Because I delivered pizza for 7 years. And at one point, my dad worked at Domino's. I worked at Domino's. Now, everybody that worked at Domino's hated my dad because they were all young and they would drive their cars like crazy fast. And my dad was slow as molasses. He would take nowhere near the amount of deliveries that the other drivers would take, but he made more money. He made more money every single night than everybody, and everybody hated him for it, and they couldn't figure out how he was doing it. So when I started working there, he was my dad. So I said, hey, Dad, can you kind of like, what are you doing? Like, how are you making more money than everybody else? You drive like a grandma. Like, what's going on here? And so he says, well, I have a magic notebook. I said, what do you mean? What the heck's a magic notebook? He says, well, what I do is when I go to a delivery, I take this notebook, and here's what I do. I walk up to the door, I have a chat with them, and I ask them how their life's going. And usually they will say something like, my son's in the hospital, my dog broke his leg, et cetera, et cetera. When I go back to the car, I will open up the notebook. I'll open up the magic notebook. This is Russell's manual he gave me, but you get the point. I open up the notebook. I'll write down the address, and I'll write down what he said. Close it. The next time I go to the delivery, I'll open the notebook. I'll look at the address of what he said. I'll walk up to the door, and I'll say, hey, how's your son? How did you?
Man.
Hey, how's your dog?
Got to start it off right. Yeah.
Yep. Next thing you know, where he normally would get a $3 tip, which, by the way, if you tip your driver $3, just get off this Zoom, okay? Go away. No, I'm just kidding. He tipped, instead of getting a $3 tip, he would get a $10 tip. And so that's, on average, he said he would get triple what he got the first time. So all these other drivers that didn't build rapport, didn't connect with the customer, they would get like 1/3 the tip. And so what this taught me, and I'm going to be using a different example you'll see on the general session. $5 minimum 10 years ago, Chris, let's get real. Okay. We got in our car. We didn't walk 10 feet to your table. We get in our car, we drive to you, we deliver the pizza, and we drive back. Y'all better be tipping way more than $5. Okay. Anyway,
I'm used to 25. I'm used to 25. You know?
Damn, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So it taught me a valuable lesson that it is better to work smarter than harder. And I have taken this lesson throughout my entire career. The public indoctrination system, the employee mill called school, teaches you got to work hard if you want to make money. No, hard workers work for the people that make money. That's who we hire. Okay? So you want to work smart, not hard. And look, if you're a private investigator and you're working hard to make money and do what you do, the reason why I became an accountant is because I think the smartest thing that you can do is work at what you do, make the money based off your super skill, and allow me to manage it for you and make sure that you keep it and make sure that it doesn't elude you and make sure you can focus. That is what I believe the smartest thing to do is. The reason why I'm an accountant is so you don't have to work hard. You probably love what you do. I love what I do, and I want to do it for you so you can do more of what you love to do.
Yeah.
So I might use it that way.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be using a completely different example on the challenge, which is smoother because it's the example I use, but I was fitting that to your situation. And one thing you want to do is you want to take multiple. Actually, I'll show you guys something neat. Does anybody want to know my secret to creating amazing stories? Does anybody really want to know? But and by the way, this is after you learn the Dan Kennedy secrets. Once you learn the Dan Kennedy secrets and you know the frameworks, then you do this. But this is how you practice these things. Okay, so here's what I want y'all to do. This is literally how. Does anybody wonder how I just come up with random stuff? This is how you do it. Okay, so every single day you want to pick an object. So you pick up this piece of dice. You pick up this magic Apple pen. You picked up this Razor wallet, this metallic wallet, perhaps this bottle of water here, and you tell a story around the object and apply it to your offer. You do this 2, 3, 4 times a day, every single day. I do it constantly. My wife wants to murder me. Okay, she wants to murder me. Like, so if I ever wind up dead, I just want you to know she did it. And this is why. Okay. Just kidding. So you want to pick an object, and I'll do this off the cuff. Now, keep in mind, it's probably going to be bad. And that's the thing. When you do this, it's going to be bad. You'll do 10 of these. 8 of them will be bad, but 2 of them will be awesome. And 1 of them will be really awesome. And if once a week you had 1 awesome new story to tell, how amazing would that be for you? So you gotta get through the other 8 or 9 that suck. So for instance, this Apple pen right here, right? So first thing I do is I look at the Apple pen and I try to think what is unique about it, what is different about it, what is interesting about it. And let's see, it writes on an iPad. It allows you to control your iPad. Okay, all right, something's coming to me. Something's coming to me. Okay. How about this? Let's say I was selling a software, some sort of, all right, let's talk Slack. Let's talk Slack. All right. Does anybody know what Slack is? Okay. It's a messaging platform for companies. Guys, if you own a company and you still email your employees, I would love to know what Fred Flintstone is like in real life. You should not be emailing each other. That is a thing of the past. You should use Slack. Okay. All of you that own companies, I don't care if you're a plumber, get off of email and use Slack. It will change your life. Okay. That's my direct pitch. Here's the story pitch. So, you know why I bought a pen for $100? Who would buy a pen for $100? Hook. You see, the interesting thing about this Apple pen when I bought it is I was so frustrated because I'm a note taker. I love to take notes. And every time I take a note, I think of something amazing and I export it from my brain to the pen and paper so that I can think about other things because I will forget it. So that's why I write it down. Unfortunately for me, I misplace things a lot. So when I write things down on notes, I always lose them. So I'll take this amazing idea. I'll write it down on a notepad. I'll definitely forget it because now I'm literally exporting it off of my brain onto the notepad. And then when I go to retrieve that amazing idea, it's gone. It's nowhere to be found. And that is why I love this pen because I can take my iPad, I can write my note on here and it will stay on my iPad. I'm not losing my iPad. It'll update on my computer. It'll update on my phone, no matter where I go. So if I forget my iPad, it's on my phone. That's why I love it. And that's why I spent $100 on a pen. And that is also why I use Slack instead of email. How many times have you sent an email to someone and you've lost it? It's buried in this chain of sub threads and emails from all these BCC and it's in this abyss and you can't find it. It's so disorganized. And that is why I use Slack, because Slack is very simple. Each channel has a topic, and in those channels, you only so if you're discussing accounting, you discuss it in the accounting channel. If you're discussing sales, you discuss it in the sales channel. If you're discussing marketing, you discuss it in the marketing channel. So right off the bat, it's organized. When you create a new topic in that channel, you can reply under a subthread. You can upload files, everything. So anytime you need to retrieve something you were talking about, instead of digging through your email or me digging through piles of papers, it's right there in Slack, and it updates on my phone, on my computer, on my iPad, everywhere. And that is why you should use Slack instead of email. Now, I want to illustrate something to you. Malik, I pitched you twice. The first one, I basically said, if you use email, you're an idiot and you're old and you're out of date and you should use Slack because it's better. And that's what most business owners do. They just say, you're wrong, customer. You need to think my way. You need to do what I do. Think this way. The second time I told a story. Which was more persuasive to you, Malik?
I think the story pulled me in closer because I started to think in my mind. I said, well, how do you spell this Slack? You know, I was just going to write it. I was just going to write it in the chat. You know.
Exactly. Would you like to know the psychological reason why that happens?
Okay.
The way the mind works, ladies and gentlemen, our minds work in pictures, in images. That is how our mind works. Memories are simply images. Dreams are simply images. Have you ever said to yourself, I can't see myself doing that? Has anybody ever said that to you ever said that to yourself? I can't see myself doing it. Do you know why you don't do that thing? Because you can't see yourself doing it. If your brain cannot process the image, it won't do it. I will never jump out of an airplane. I'll fly an airplane, but I'll never jump out of an airplane. You know why? Because as soon as I picture jumping out of an airplane in my mind, I'm like, nope. And I stop thinking about it. The image goes away, if it was there at all, because it gives me massive anxiety. So I can't see myself jumping out of a plane, which is why I don't jump out of a plane. That is how your brain works. If you don't see something, you don't do it. So everything is pictures. Everything is images. When I say, Malik, you use email. That's out of date, man. That sucks. You're disorganized. Use Slack. You don't picture anything. There's nothing to picture. Did you picture any image when I said that?
Well, I like I say, I started to think of how to spell it, you know?
No. When I just said what I just said, not the story.
What? I missed you there. What did you say?
Sorry. Now, did you picture any images in your head when I just said you should use Slack? Not the story, but when I just direct pitched you and I said email sucks, use Slack. Was there any images?
No, I don't have a clear concept what Slack is. And that's what I started to question how to spell it and stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
But when I told the story of the notebook and writing things down and papers on the floor.
Different categories, yeah. I started to see more of what it was as opposed to what it wasn't, you know.
Exactly.
And it found it a bit interesting. It caused interest, you know. Right.
So if I paint a picture in your head, the picture happens in your head. And when the picture happens in your head, now you can see it. So what I'm trying to get across to you here is by telling a story, you allow your prospects to picture something in their head. And if they picture something in their head, now they can see what you're talking about. You don't want them to hear what you're talking about. That's not enough. You want them to see what you're talking about. The only way to get them to see what you're talking about is to tell a story, because when a human hears a story, the human paints pictures and they see it. So that is the nerdy scientific explanation about why storytelling works in sales. Okay. That is like the nerdiest, most, and that's probably the least storytelling I will get. to explain it, okay? But does this for those of you out there that are a little on the techier, more logical side, did that sort of help out in understanding why? Because it sounds stupid. Oh, you're a plumber? Tell stories in your marketing. That sounds dumb, okay? But it's not, because when you really think about psychologically why that happens, now it makes sense. It just sounds dumb if you don't know how it works. Okay, awesome, awesome. Was that helpful, Malik?
Yeah, a lot, quite a bit.
Okay,
I can see a lot clearer.
See, you can see a lot clearer. Right there. Right there. Okay, let's bring somebody else on and we'll do the same thing. Does somebody else have a product and have a story that they can tell around their product to shift their customers' belief so that, and by the way, Malik, you can tell that story in emails, in ads, on the phone. There are people, I know that there are people who use magnetic marketing, and I'm going to talk about some examples tomorrow, but there are people that use magnetic marketing who are members of Magnetic Marketing Mastermind who never use any of this in advertising or marketing. They simply use it when speaking to customers, and their staff use it when speaking to customers, and it drastically increases their sales. So don't think that this is just for emails and ads. Okay, let's see here. If a story creates an image, then why use anything but video? Because when you don't have video, you can still create the video in their mind by using story. That's why. Okay, let's see. I don't know how to. All right, let's bring one of the ladies on. I don't know how to create a story around the limiting beliefs of my clients, but I have a product and happy clients. Okay, Emma, what do you sell? And then let's see. Coffee shop opening connected to my hair jewelry. I have a product and a great story. I help business owners quit alcohol. All right, Emma, let's bring Emma on.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you doing?
Really good, really good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. All right, so you help business owners quit alcohol, right?
I do, yeah.
And is that so that they make more money? Because we all know that if you're a drunk, you're probably not making as much money as you could if you weren't. Is that the
Exactly. They're not drunks or alcoholics. They're just drinking too much, and it's impacting their productivity.
Well, that's true as well. Okay. All right. And do you want more clients?
Of course, yeah, I do.
Now, what do you think the biggest reason why you don't have more clients is?
Like, my marketing sucks. I've been in the game like 2 months, and I don't have a background in marketing, and I don't know where to start, you know?
Got it. And do you have any stories you can tell around this?
Around like successful client transformations, or?
No, just this. Okay, let me ask you this. Where do you live?
In Colombia, South America.
Oh, really? You live in Colombia? Why you sound like you live in England or something? Did you move to Colombia?
I did, like 10 years ago, not a purposeful decision, but I just stayed here.
Can you tell me what you mean by not purposeful decision?
Yep. So before I was living in Galapagos, and then I decided to come here just on vacation for a few weeks to travel. And I just never left. I started a different company, and I just never left the country.
Interesting. And that's because you love the country?
Yeah, I love the freedom. I love like the UK, the US, there's so many rules, restrictions. Here, there's just that sense of freedom. You can kind of do whatever you want to do, create the life you want.
Okay. Why are you so passionate about helping business owners quit drinking?
Yeah, I think it's the secret matrix. So we're told that we need to drink alcohol because it's glamorous, it's sexy, it's what you do. But really, by stopping alcohol, it really allows you to get to that next level of life, whether it's productivity, health, it just clears your mind and it just gets you to the next level. So it's kind of like going against the establishment of them being happy that you drink alcohol because it keeps you small.
Would you like me to coach you on this?
Yes, please.
You just explained to me a logical reason why someone should quit alcohol. I want to know why you are so passionate about helping people do this.
Because I love people stepping into their power and becoming the people that they want to be without being blocked by that external source.
So you just explained the reason why you like it. I want to know why you are so passionate about it. Something in your life happened that led to you being passionate about this. What happened?
Like, I think all of my background, I was held down. I felt in like, this sounds like really dramatic. And just by stepping into my own shoes and being happy with myself and not actually needing alcohol to feel confident and comfortable in my own skin, just allowed me.
Drink?
Sorry?
But see, again, did you drink? Like, what
did.
You did drink?
Yeah, I used to drink like the normal amount in society for like a British person, which is quite a lot. Like, no one ever thought I was an alcoholic. I would never relate myself to being an alcoholic. But I just saw that it was like the weakest way to cover up my insecurities.
Are you open to sharing one of those insecurities you were trying to cover up?
Yeah, like trying to fit in. So like I never felt as if I fitted in society. So like I did the 9 to 5 job. I went the normal like career route that you're told to do. And then like leaving the UK and going to like South America was kind of like that breaking free. And then step by step, it was just like, well, alcohol is still keeping me small. And it's still like, I'm still living my life in accordance to society by drinking, because that's what you're meant to do. But then by stopping drinking, just allowed me to like have that true expression of myself and do whatever I wanted to do. And I think that's also why I live in Colombia, because you can just make the rules up as you go along.
Okay. So you quit drinking because you were drinking. You kind of knew that if you quit drinking, you'd be more productive, but you kept drinking because you wanted to fit in with friends and colleagues. And then you finally got over that, and you quit drinking, and it helped you, right?
Yeah.
And did anything substantial happen after you quit drinking?
Well, then I started creating like different companies. I started a new company here in Colombia.
Did you quit drinking before or after you moved to Colombia?
After, like a few months afterwards.
After you quit drinking?
After I moved to Colombia, I quit drinking. Colombia came first and then the drinking.
All right. So I'm not saying this should be the complete thing, but based on what I said, here's something I would come up with. And by the way, are your clients, do they think they should quit? And they're just looking for help? Got it. This could be better if I sat down with it, but something like this. Are you a business owner that deep down knows you should quit drinking? You know that if you quit drinking, you would be far more productive and your performance would be enhanced. Like, you're smart, you're a business owner, you know this, but it is hard to quit. Well, my name is Emma Kinsey, and I went through the same thing. And one of the reasons why I kept drinking, because I have always had this incredible insecurity of fitting in. When I was younger, I didn't fit in. And so when I got older, I always wanted to fit in. I wanted to be a part of the crowd. I wanted to, be a social butterfly, because I struggled with that when I was younger. Well, being British, everybody drinks in Britain. And so one of the things that I did, and one of the reasons I drank, was because everybody else drank. And so I fit in. That's how I fit in. And as I went through my life in this continuous circle, that's what I felt like. I was just going round and round. I wasn't doing bad, but I wasn't excelling. And my life was mundane and my life was boring. And one day I decided that I was going to move to Colombia. Sorry, let me backtrack that. One day I visited Colombia. And when I was in Colombia, I loved it so much that I had this thought. I thought, you know what? I'm a business owner. I am a rebel. I am the person that said, no, I will not take a 9 to 5 and let that be my legacy. No, I will not work to make someone else rich. No, I will not spend 8 hours of my day making this company rich when I could spend 8 hours of my day building my own wealth. I am already an outlier. I am already a rebel. I already go against the grain. I already don't fit in. So why not embrace that? And I loved Colombia so much that I said, you know what? I'm going to do what the very core of what made me a business owner is. And that is, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to go against the grain. And so I stayed in Colombia. I didn't move back. Literally came here, visited, and I decided I'm staying because that is what entrepreneurs do. They do the things most don't. They take the risks most don't. They don't fit in and they make a lot of money for it. And you know what I did next? This move to Colombia made me realize something, that I didn't have to fit in. That in fact, not fitting in is the very thing that is the bedrock of the entrepreneurial spirit. And it was that day that I decided to quit drinking. Why? Because I didn't need to impress anybody else. I didn't need to fit in. I could take complete control of my own destiny because I already had as a business owner, because that's what business owners and entrepreneurs do. And I am here to tell you that you can do the same. And when I quit drinking, everything in my life got better. I started creating more companies. I started leveling up my income. And in that journey, I decided that this is what I want to do. I want to help business owners quit drinking. Not just for your health, not just for your productivity, but to allow you to fully embrace the thing that made you an entrepreneur in the first place. And that is that you don't need to fit in. You don't need to go with the flow. You are not most people. Most people drink every day. Most people try to fit in. You don't have to be, and you are not most people. And I not only want to help you quit drinking, I want to help you embrace the very bedrock of being an entrepreneur. And that is being a rebel and doing what you want and getting paid a lot of money for it. And you will get paid a lot more money when you can focus, be productive, and give up alcohol. And I'm here for you. I want you to book a call today. Come on an introductory call. I will take a look at your situation and I'll give you an honest assessment of what you need to do over the next 30 days to quit for good. Click the button below and book your call. Something like that.
Amazing.
Now I filled in the gaps there, but you know.
Yeah.
So the moral here is you want to ask yourself questions about your life. You want to find something. You mentioned you moved to Colombia. I was like, okay, that's interesting. She moved to Colombia. So she just said, screw it and did it. Well, that's kind of also being an entrepreneur. And then you said that you drank to fit in. So I'm thinking, well, entrepreneurs don't try to fit in. We're the people who flip the bird to society. What are you talking about? And then I just connected all those things. That was it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's the main limiting belief that people have, that if they quit drinking, they're going to be removed from their social groups or whatever, right?
Good.
They're not going to.
Good.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Good. Are your social groups full of entrepreneurs that are leveling up? No, then you probably need a better social group. You probably need a different one. And guess what? If they are full of entrepreneurs, I highly doubt all of them are drinking, and there won't be a single one of them that will fault you. No successful entrepreneur faults another person for improving their personal development. It does not exist.
Yeah.
So if you want to be in the real social circle that's going to build wealth, that's a social circle that would completely and utterly accept you for this move, right? See, that's right there. There's another one. Boom. You want to, you don't want somebody to buy from you because they want to quit alcohol. You want somebody to buy from you because they connect with you. And they're like, Emma, I feel Emma. I want to work with Emma. Okay. And I want to stay working with Emma. Does this all make sense?
Yeah, completely. Amazing. Thank you. One question.
Sure.
Obviously, people say that your clients are meant to be a representation of you and connect with you, right? Most of my clients are men. And I think, if I'm sharing, there's always that disconnect in my mind. How are men going to relate to me if I'm a woman? But then it's through the stories, right? And that's still okay.
Well, why is your main, why is your main market main client men?
95% of the people who write to me and come on calls are men. Women just don't seem connected. I have a strong.
They don't think they have a problem.
I think most women, or more women, have problems with drinking. But I'm just I'm a pretty straight talker, so I think that kind of pushes women away. I don't talk about manifestation and the fluffy stuff.
That's fine. That's who you're attracting. That's fine. Well, if you're automatically attracting those people, what makes you think that you would have a problem?
Yeah, no, I don't. Just the people who say that, like, normally your ideal client is a representation of you 10 years ago. Obviously, I wasn't a
Who
man
said that?
10 years ago.
Who said
Some
that?
random people, right?
Is that, well, okay. Lesson number one: don't listen to random people. That is the
People
biggest
who have
load of
like
BS
online
I've ever heard.
businesses. But yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay.
doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, maybe not. That's like saying, okay, so if any of you have ever bought a product from Kim or Khloe Kardashian, maybe one of her makeup things or whatever they sell, 10 years ago, were you making a sex tape and getting famous from it? Like, no, like it's just dumb. That's just the amount of dumb advice that comes out from online entrepreneurs today. It never ceases to amaze me. I hear the craziest, just stupid advice. Okay. So Emma, I give you permission to completely and utterly disregard that piece of advice. Okay. Just, Dean says that. Well, I've met Dean. He's a very nice guy, and it's a great soundbite, but I don't think it applies to everything. So, and he also is a very, very newbie market. I'll just say it. He's a newbie market. Like you don't buy from Dean if you're an advanced marketer. So, he knows his market, and it's a great soundbite. And I'm sure he is completely and utterly smart enough to know that. But that is not always, he's right in some cases, but not in all cases. To think that is 100, and I guarantee you, if you ask Dean, he would tell you, no, that is not always the case. That is not always the case. So that's the other thing, guys. When you hear a piece of advice from somebody, it doesn't mean that is like a scientific law that it always has to fit into that. Okay, so that's another thing. So it's either bad advice or bad learning. It's one of the or both. All right, so who else has? We got a couple more minutes until yeah, exactly, Allison. Context matters, exactly. All right, hold on. Let's see here. Challenge for Dan. See now Nazir here had the right idea. He used a pattern interrupt to get my attention in the chat, probably because he knows his market, and I am definitely a go-getter. I definitely like a challenge, so that caught my attention. So good. So automatically, good copywriting for Nazir. My two wives and I, nice. My two wives and I, coach. Dude, the hook is. I love this guy. Assalamu alaikum, by the way. I love this guy. My two wives and I coach people on relationships through online courses and coaching. Upcoming book, okay? And feel we have a blue ocean since there are far too few resources. We currently dominate the polygamy sphere on YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm assuming assalamu alaikum, but we still are finding it difficult to market deliverables. All right, Nazir, why don't you come on, buddy? This will be fun. This is going to be fun. I love it. I feel like Russell would never take this call, but I will take it. Let's go.
Make salam, by the way, brother. Definitely a pleasure.
Oh, what's up, Wally? Salam. So, okay, so first, let's talk about market, right? I'm assuming your market is going to be polygamous Muslims, correct?
No, not only Muslims. Majority, yes, but there are other like Hebrew Israelites, other people from different scriptures. So it's not a religiously focused training, but it is open. But yeah.
Is the product how to make polygamy work?
Yeah, in a healthy fashion, correct.
In a healthy fashion. Okay. That's a big pain point, because if you are, I don't know about other cultures, but if you're a Muslim and you have two wives, I know that the faith says that you must treat them equally if you buy flowers for. And by the way, for all you Christians and stuff out there, just try to have an open mind. Okay, people are different in other parts of the world. Things happen. Imagine if there was somebody on Mars.
They're familiar with it. They watch TLC. They see the polygamy.
I mean, imagine if you lived on Mars. If we found aliens on Mars, how different they'd be. You can be fine with the Muslims. Okay, so if you buy flowers for one, you have to buy, oh, that's right, Mormons. I forgot about that. So we're good. We're good. If you buy flowers for one, then you got to buy flowers for the other, right? And they can get jealous. You got to split up your time. So this is definitely a pain point. My concern is not the pain point. I think this would make an amazing product. It's the market, because I know that Westernized Muslims and probably other faiths still don't get down with the polygamy stuff. So I would imagine your market is non-Western. Would that be correct?
No, most of them are Western. Right
Really?
here in the U.S., it's actually practiced quite a bit, but most people, again, are very private because it's seen as taboo.
Sure. So do you have a way to get in front? See, I don't know the market. I don't know the market size. Is it enough of a size for you to consistently get in front of these people?
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, one of the fastest, there's a Facebook group, for example, that went from 0 to like 100,000.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. That's okay. Good.
In
Okay.
a matter of 2 months.
All right. So do you have a story around this?
Yeah, I've been practicing polygamy for 13 years. My wife and I have 10 children. There were no resources, so we had to figure it out. And once we did re-engineer and figure it out for about 5 years, we could either be silent about it or share with others utilizing some different internet marketing learnings and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. So give me a belief that in order to buy your product, I have to believe, and I'm assuming that your market is already people who are in a polygamy. You're not convincing people to get into it. You're just convincing them to buy from you to manage it. So give me
the majority of people are relatively new. We do have people who are like single premarital type stuff, and those have been in for a while trying to figure it out. But most of them are relatively new, rocky, or they're mainly brand new. About 60% women.
Okay. So do you have a story you can tell me to help sell your product or overcome a limiting belief?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Story. Men generally are polygynous by nature. We've heard that a lot always, when it comes to science, right? Polygynous by nature. And the sad part is that in society, we know that there are stuff, there's strip clubs, pornography, there's all kinds of other vices, if you will, to handle things in an immoral fashion. But for those who want to be pro-moral versus immoral, it actually helps you become more than twice the man, raise your standards in finances, emotional maturity, leadership, and these qualities that are very attractive to women. So if you're able to do so and become more than twice the man, why not practice polygamy in a moral way, more in line with your nature as a man?
Can I give you one? Can I give you a really so? I'm going to cover this in a moment because we're about to start the general session. But there's 4 types of stories. I'll cover what those in. But here's one you can use that is like a parable, right? So you want to let me ask you something, Nazir. Are you the type of person that knows a bunch of useless facts?
Yeah, I think we all do. Yeah, of course.
Okay, that is the most amazing person to be when it comes to copywriting. I'll give you an example. Did you know that bumblebees are not supposed to be able to fly? Scientifically, according to the laws of aerodynamics, bumblebees can't fly. Did you know that?
Yes.
You did know that. Okay. So then you know that because of the weight of their body and the weight of their wings, they are aerodynamically, science says they can't fly. Yet, they are able to flap their wings in a very unique, specific way that allows them to produce lift. Now, what does this prove? It proves that even if most people, even the science community, says something is impossible, that doesn't mean it's true. There is always a way. Most people are going to tell you that you can't have 2 wives. Most people are going to tell you that polygamy doesn't work, that it's wrong, that it's immoral. Most people are going to tell you that. Just like most people say, most smart people, even scientists, say that bumblebees can't fly. Yet, they figured it out. And I am here to tell you that absolutely you can figure it out too. And that is what I would like to help you do. And below, you can book a call, blah, 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 blah. That right there is a parable. So you see what I'm saying?
Picture parable principle. Indeed. My personal
Oh
model.
yeah, you're a Myron guy. You're a Myron guy. All right. Yeah, I should have been drawing it on the whiteboard. you see
You painted the word picture, bro.
You see the
I
little
got it.
wings and the big body? You can't fly. That's yeah, no. I missed my opportunity. So let's see. Already, I've inadvertently insulted Dean Graziosi. We've talked about having 2 wives. I messed up a bit by not drawing on the board. There was something else. So what a great start for today.
Thank you, bro, man. I appreciate you. That's
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully, run. Hopefully, the mic and the microphone earlier. And for those of you who are not in the VIP session, we had a little microphone blunder earlier, but it's all good to go now. And I was giving live coaching, which means you should join VIP. This is your last chance if you want to come on tomorrow. And look, guys, I teach stuff during the general, but in the VIP, I'm literally bringing people on and going back and forth and coaching them. The gold in there is amazing. So I would absolutely go to that little link right there, join VIP, and you can watch the recordings of the first 2 sessions that I did. Okay? Anyway, so hopefully Russell doesn't watch this recording. Molly, make sure he's busy. All right, let's get going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the Rank Like Damn Challenge. Okay? Yes, Michael. Dean said it correctly in context. That's all right. It's on brand for me. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make a couple quick announcements, and we are going to get this party started. Make sure you get your workbooks. Workbooks are important today. So first thing I want to mention is the agenda. Okay. The agenda. And the agenda today is, as I bring up the workbook real fast. Oh, got to get my clicker. Totally forgot about this clicker. They give me this. So the ClickFunnels team has this amazing thing. Do you see this right here? This is so cool. It's a clicker that allows you to click the slides. It's pretty neat. Okay, so if you take a look at your workbook, you're going to notice that we have some goals for today. We're going to unlock 4 must-have strategies for $1 million marketing. We're going to really dive into the DNA of a $1 million marketer. We're going to crack the code to authentic marketing. Guys, most of the time when somebody says, oh, I want to be authentic, I want to have authentic marketing. Well, guys, authentic doesn't mean you just be honest. That's not what authentic means. That is what most people think authentic means. And most people are broke in a relationship that they don't want to be in and aren't at the health goals that they want. Most people don't have good advice. And I'm telling you right now that authentic marketing is not being honest. It is much more clear and defined than that. I'm going to show you what that is. I'm going to show you how to find your core values. Guys, today, this is amazing. Today, I'm so excited about this. You're going to create a personal brand today. In 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how to create a personal brand. Every single one of you will leave this session today with your own personal brand. That's going to happen. I'm going to help you with your magnetic persona. I'm going to help you master stories that sell. And I'm going to teach you the 4 stories that you need. The only 4 stories that you need, the 4 types of stories. All right. So with that said, let's get going. See, where's my, what's the first slide we got here? What's the first slide? Let me see what the next slide is. Okay. Got it. So, and there we go. So we're going to start with the 4 essential elements of personality-driven marketing. 4 essential elements. Now, before I get into this, I want to let you know, and we can kill the slide for 1 second. I'm going to tell a lot of stories today because today's about brand and stories, right? It's about your persona and the stories that your persona tells. So you're going to hear a lot of stories. But one thing I want to cover before we get started, because this is very, 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 very important, is fear. See, people, when they go to do this, I spoke on the the VIP session. I said, and we can do this exercise real quick. If you let me know in the chat in Facebook, if you fully believed something would work, you were 100% confident, you had 100% clarity that it could work, Do you believe that you would give it your all and that it would work? And yep. Tons of yeses, right? Okay, so here's the thing. In the comment section, I want you to write 2 or 3 things, 2 is fine, that what would you do if you knew you could not fail? Over the next week, what are 2 things you would do if you were 100,000% positive that you could not fail? What would you do? Write those in the comment section. Now, VIP already did it. VIP, if you would like to put it in the chat again, because maybe you thought of something else, that's totally fine. I love the interaction. So write down 2 or 3 things. Shelly says everything. 2 or 3 things that you would do if you knew you could not fail over the next week. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I want you to now comment, how long have you been putting off those 2 things? How long have you been putting off those 2 things? How long have you been procrastinating? 2 years, way too long. Months, 1 year. What does this prove? This proves that the only difference between you winning and doing is belief. It's not that you're procrastinating. It's not that you're overwhelmed. It's not that you don't have time. You never have time. You're always overwhelmed. Like procrastination is a part of human condition. Like, these are just things we all deal with. I deal with it. Everybody deals. Russell deals with it. Everybody deals with it. The problem is belief. You don't believe it will work. You say you do, but you don't. You don't believe it will work, because if you truly believed it will work, you would do it. That's the difference. And so one other thing I want to do today is I want to increase that belief and get rid of the things that prevent you from having that belief. And the first thing is fear. Okay. Now, people generally misunderstand fear. They misunderstand what fear is. I'll give you an example. If you're anything like me, you probably have a phobia of some kind. Mine was flying. I was afraid to fly when I was about 15 years old. And by the way, I love to fly. I always took planes. I was constantly on planes. I loved, my family would travel. I loved it. When I was 15 years old, I got up from my seat on a Delta flight and I went to the bathroom, and I'm sitting in the bathroom, and all of a sudden I fly up off the toilet. I crack my head, literally crack. My head hit that plastic ceiling part so hard it cracked the ceiling a little bit. I slammed back down with my pants around my ankles onto the toilet. And I was shook up. I opened the door. I put my pants up first, of course. Need to make sure that's clear. I opened the door. I came out, and what I saw was chaos. There was food everywhere on the floor. There was a child upside down in his seat. His little feet were pointed up at the sky, wiggling. Okay. My mom was crying. She was in hysterics. It was nuts. Pandemonium. Apparently we had hit a couple 100-foot air pocket. The plane dropped and everybody just went. So I sit down. My mom's freaking out. And then we land. We get on a small commuter flight from Miami to Tampa. On that flight, turbulence was terrible. So I already had the first issue. Turbulence was terrible. There was rain, the plane's rocking. All of a sudden, we go to land. The plane careens to the right, careens to the left, and slams down on the runway. And then we come to find out that the pilot had passed out during landing, and the co-pilot had to take over literally 50 feet above the ground last second. After this day, I didn't fly for like a decade. I had the worst fear of flying. The worst fear of flying. Now, keep in mind, this entire time, everything was fine. I mean, the co-pilot thing kind of sucked, but we would have lived. But the air pocket thing was normal, right? The airplanes are meant to handle that. But it sucked. And yes, thank you. It was crazy. Now, real quick side note. I could have said, I'm afraid of flying because I hit a 100-foot air pocket in an airplane. And then I took another flight, and there was a little issue with landing, and the co-pilot had to take over. And ever since then, I've been afraid of flying. That would not have impacted you as much. Okay. So just a note, storytelling, that whole thing, right? Anyway, so I didn't fly for the longest time, and I missed a lot of opportunities in life. Even when I got successful at business, there were so many times I got asked to speak. I bought Russell's Inner Circle way back when it was 30 grand. I didn't go to a single meeting. I spent $30,000 on Russell's Inner Circle. I didn't go to a single meeting because I was afraid to fly. Wasted 30 grand. That's how bad it was. One time I flew because I had to. And they almost kicked me off the plane. I was just flipping out. So one day I decided I want to conquer my fear. And the only way that I know how to conquer my fear is to understand how something works. Because see, what's happening is when you're on an airplane and the plane shakes and you freak out and you look around and everybody's fine, that is the difference between fear and anxiety. See, and this is how I learned this. I decided to take my buddy Gary Cox. I don't know if you know Gary Cox. My buddy Gary Cox says, you really need to learn to fly. That'll help you get over your fear of flying. So he invites me on his plane. Now, I trusted Gary because I knew Gary. I would be in the cockpit. I could see what's going on. Gary like trains flight instructors. So I was like, all right, I can do this. So I was super nervous, but I got on the plane. We get up. He's got me flying and all this. And I'm nervous as heck, right? I'm nervous as heck. And he's like, you need to release the grip on the ailerons. Like you're gripping them. And I said, I'm sorry. I just have a lot of fear of flying. And he slaps my hand like this. And he goes, no, you don't have a fear of flying. You have ignorance of flying. I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, you're not afraid. You see, fear would be as if we were nose diving into the ground. I'm freaking out. The plane's going down and you are freaking out because you're afraid. That is fear. Fear is a emotional response to a clear and present danger. Right now you have anxiety because everything's fine, but you're still afraid. That's not fear. That's anxiety. And that comes from a lack of understanding of why the plane's moving, why the plane's shaking. So ladies and gentlemen, it's the same thing with your business. You're not afraid that this won't work. You're not afraid to fail. You're not afraid of anything. You just don't know how it works. So that is why you have anxiety. You don't have fear. You have anxiety. Because you don't know how it works. If you knew how it works, you wouldn't have any fear because you would know how it works. It's like, oh, of course it's going to work. So my goal today is to take away your fear, but it's actually your anxiety by explaining to you crystal clear how this works. Does that sound like a plan for today? Does that sound like a plan for today? Let me know in the chat. Yes? Yes? All right, let's go. Okay. So we're going to talk about the 4 essential elements of personality-driven marketing. Now, here's the thing about this. This is a framework. This is a framework you are going to learn. So there was a study done by UK. There was this group of UK scientists, right? These are actual scientists, all right? So I'm going to write the facts down here. UK scientists. And if I recall correctly, they studied over 6,000 movie scripts. Over 6,000 movie scripts, all right? And what they wanted to figure out was what story types or story arcs were the most profitable. Now, I don't mean the most gross revenue for a movie. I mean the most profit, which means it wasn't about how much the movie made. It was about how much the movie made minus how much it cost to make. Okay? So a lot of these films didn't have huge budgets. They didn't need them because they had good stories. And out of 6,000 scripts, they narrowed this down to 6, we're going to call them frameworks because they were story arcs, but we'll call them 6 script frameworks, okay? Now, of all 6,000, the vast majority, like 98% of the most profitable films were one of these 6 scripts. One of these 6 scripts. But out of these 6 scripts was one script that stood above the rest as like the most profitable. So imagine you had the 6th script, okay? You had the 5th script, you had the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, but then like way up here was the 1st. There was like a huge gap. The 1st was way more effective than the rest. That script framework was called Man in a Hole. And this script framework you would recognize from movies like The Godfather and The Departed. Man in the Hole, one very specific framework, was the most profitable movie script for decades and still is. What does this prove? It proves that frameworks work. Once you figure out a framework, and no, that's not the hero's two journeys. Actually, it wasn't that. That's one of them. But Man in a Hole. Once you figure out a framework that works, you can just rinse and repeat it for all different types of films, all different types of stuff. And see what Dan Kennedy has done is Dan Kennedy has figured out a script, a framework, if you will, for creating a magnetic personality and marketing with that magnetic personality. And that is what I am about to show you. So I need you to understand that, yes, there may be other ways to do it 100%, but this is the one, this is Man in the Hole. This is the one that will work the best. So why not, if you're going to do one, why not do the best? And believe it or not, this is the one that, as I said yesterday, Steve Jobs, Oprah, all these, what they do. So that's why it's the best. Okay, so we can bring the slides back up. 4 essential elements of personality-driven marketing. So the first element, they have to be fascinated with you. They must be fascinated with you. You can't be boring. You have to be a character. You have to be, if there was a movie and the character was not fascinating, no one would watch the movie. If there was a business and the character is not fascinating, no one cares to listen to the business owner and hear what they have to say. So you have to be fascinating. Next, they have to share. Oh, this is cool. Apparently I can see the previous slide. Wow, that's neat. They have to share common values. So if you have some sort of, for instance, if you have a MAGA shop where you sell Make America Great Again t-shirts, you can't be talking about your pronouns. Okay, you can't sell Trump t-shirts talking about you identify as they, them. Ain't gonna work. It is not gonna work. Okay, you have to share common values. All right, it's pretty simple. All right. Yes, Budweiser learned that. That's correct. Prime example of how not to do this. Budweiser, $6 billion in losses in market cap that they have not recovered. Values have to be in alignment. Okay. Just saying. Most expensive commercial of all time. All right. They have to believe that you care about them. They have to believe that you care about them. You can't just, this one's easy. If you care about them, you show you care about them. Okay. Now, this is the hardest one. They have to get value from the relationship. The problem is most business owners don't understand what value is. You think value is teaching them something. You think value is explaining something to them. That's not what value is, because people constantly get that all the time. Oh, explain it to me. We don't want anything explained to us. We want things simplified. We want a shift in perspective. We don't want to learn more stuff. There's too much stuff. We need to learn new ways to think. We need things simpler, not more complicated. And that is actually value, not do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. People think it is, but it's not. So what qualities do you have to be successful at this? Well, first, you have to care to share your stories. If you don't care to share your stories, then this ain't going to work, period. You have to care to share your values. And this one's tough for people because, look, you have to share and look, if you have any value that you hold dear, somebody else has the opposite value, right? Somebody else believes that you're a bad person because you have that value. So the hardest thing here is sharing your values, because when you share your values, you will piss somebody off. There's somebody out there you will piss off. Okay, period. And by the way, just so you guys know, you're already doing it. If you are a Christian, when you leave church, there is an atheist driving down the street, looking at the church, looking at you leaving, and going, that guy sucks, I'm angry. If you're the atheist, okay, and you've decided that you're going to walk around with your nipples poking out of your shirt and, you know, a fishnet and I don't know, you know, something, and you walk into a coffee shop where a nice Christian family is sitting with their children, they're going to look at you and go, I don't like that person, I'm angry. Okay? No matter what you do, if you be who you are, you're going to piss somebody off, period. Because you're who you are. Unless you stay in a little bubble inside of your bedroom, then you're not, well, if an extrovert ever finds out about you, they're not going to like you. But the point is that when you share you're already making people angry. You live your daily life. Somebody is angry that you're living the life the way you want to live it. You're already pissing people off. All I am simply proposing is that you finally get paid for it. That's it. You finally get paid for it. Because right now you're doing it for free. You are pissing people off for free. Okay? I want you to get paid for it. That's what I want you to pay. So you have to care to share your values. You have to care to show that you care. You have to care to show that you care. I'll give you an example. There will be times where I will have I'll give you an example, my YouTube channel, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do with my YouTube channel. I had no idea. I had tried all different types of content and it was good, but it didn't land, right? Lately, I have been blowing up. Well, not blowing up, but I've been substantially increasing on YouTube. All my engagement is up. My channel is growing more than it ever has. And it was because one day, one of my employees, Carla, who's been with me for like 7 years, reaches out to me and she says, hey, Dan, I got an idea for your YouTube channel. And I said, well, what's that? And she says, well, remember when you had the mastermind years ago? You would just like kind of get on and roast people's marketing and then you would just give them a better pitch. And I was like, yeah. She's like, why don't you just do that for your YouTube channel? So what I do now is people will fill out a form and I'll pick people. I'll take them on. I'll do a full 3 hour of consulting and I'll just fix all their stuff and I upload it to YouTube and that's my YouTube channel. And so what I'm doing there is I'm putting out content that shows that I care, because I used to charge $55,000 for that. And I'm doing it for free to like 2 people a week and uploading it to YouTube. So that's just one form of content that I put out there to show that I care. So you got to figure out, how can you show that you care, right? How can you show that you care? So next is you have to understand what value means to them so you can give it. You have to understand that value is not over-explaining something and confusing and overwhelming people. It's simplifying things for people. It's making things easy for people, okay? That is what it is. And I'm going to show you how easy it can be. So I'm going to practice what I preach. Today, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a personal brand. So see, and I'm not teaching you anything crazy. I'm giving you a different perspective, and that's value. So I'll show you that here in a minute. But first, let's talk about what is authentic marketing. The reason I want to talk about this is because most people misunderstand what this is. And I want to clear this up. Okay? So authentic marketing is the practice of clearly defining your values and then telling stories that highlight those values. Let me say it one more time. Authentic marketing is the practice of clearly defining your values and then telling stories that highlight those values. How many of you here would love to have an authentic brand? Say me in the chat if you would love to have an authentic brand. Okay, I see it lighting up. This is how you do it. An authentic brand is, I just want to be myself and not be, No, that's not an authentic brand. That's I don't know what that is. That's bad marketing, because good marketing is engineered. Bad marketing is off the cuff. It's let me just share something about myself for no reason. That's not authentic. That's stupid. Okay. Authentic marketing is the practice of clearly defining your values and then telling stories that highlight those values. Plain and simple. All right. So let's talk about how to find your values. Well, what are my values? So here's an interesting little practice. So in your workbook, you will notice that there is a list of superheroes. Okay. We can kill the slides for 1 second. So remember that manual I was talking about? I had the manual that Russell gave me, which what I consider the SOPs to this. I don't even consider it. I would never call it a book because it's just not written like a book. It's a manual. In the manual, and I love this thing. Like I said, I offered Russell 10 grand for it. Thankfully, I got it for free for winning that affiliate contest. But in the manual that Russell gave me from Dan, he mentioned that there are 2 types of characters that are the most enduring brands, right? These are the types of brands that stick around the longest. Owen says, Dan, I'll give you $10,000 for that manual. But I'm hoping you'll give it to us for free. Nope, not Alex Arbozi. That's not happening. He didn't even give books away for free. Anyway, so, but I love the value. I love the value. Okay, so he said that the 2 types of the most enduring, the longest lasting brands are talk show hosts and superheroes. Talk show hosts and superheroes. But that superheroes were far and above even talk show hosts. Think about this. In your workbook, you will see Superman, you will see Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Iron Man, Captain America, Wolverine, the Hulk, the Flash, and the Green Lantern. Now, these are the top 10 most popular and enduring superheroes of all time. And this is how we are going to create our personal brand in the next 5 minutes. The bedrock of a personal brand is simply this. This is a personal brand, okay? This is a personal brand in a nutshell. Have any of you ever wondered what a personal brand is? What is a personal brand? What the heck does that mean? Right? Does anybody ever thought to yourself, what is a personal brand? What is a personal brand? Here's what it is. No, it's not how to sell yourself. That's a byproduct of it. But here's the framework for a personal brand. Every personal brand is extraordinarily simple. And when you get clarity around this, you can create one. Personal brand is simply this. It's what you are about. But what does that mean? It means you stand for something. You stand for something. You stand against something. You stand for something and you stand against something. These 2 things in unison create values. All right? So you figure out what you stand for. You figure out what you stand against. When you have this clear, it creates a set of values. These values are best articulated or set into stone by principles. So principles are, I guess you could call it a summary of how to think about the value. So you stand for something, you stand against something, this creates your values, and then the principles are the core teaching moments of your values. And then your stories are simply times from your life that you can relate to your principles. Now, this may sound a little complicated, but I'm going to make it real clear, real fast. So how do we find out first what we stand for and what we stand against? Well, we borrow it from the most enduring superheroes of all time because they are very clear about what they stand for and what they stand against. So we can bring these slides back up Here's how to find your dogma. Here's how to find what you believe in. Let's take a look at Superman. He stands for truth, justice, and the American way. He stands against tyranny, injustice, and evil. Batman stands for justice, human ingenuity, and resilience. He stands against crime, corruption, and injustice. You see the difference? So Superman, truth, justice, and the American way. Batman, it doesn't say truth because Batman does not mind deception, right? Superman is about the American way. Batman, I'm sure he kind of cares about the American way, but that's not his main thing, right? And he stands against crime, corruption, and injustice, whereas Superman is more about tyranny. He stands against tyranny. These are very similar things, but they're different. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this list of 10 superheroes, and I want you to pick the one, if you had to choose one, I want you to pick the one that is the closest to you right now. Pick the one that is the closest. You read all of these, stand for, stand against. You know what? That sounds the most like me. Now, for me, it was Iron Man. He stands for innovation. I love innovation. Innovation to me is just, I love it. Capitalism. I am a huge capitalist. I love the concept of capitalism. I am extraordinarily anti-socialist. Extraordinarily. I hate socialism. Personal growth. I am big on personal growth. I don't even like to associate myself with people who don't read personal growth books. I just can't. I can't even talk to those people. Stands against terrorism. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but I don't wake up in the morning and go, those damn terrorists. But okay. Ignorance. Okay. I hate ignorance. Because most ignorance is voluntary. I hate it. And threats to freedom. I love freedom. I don't like the threats to it. So I'm not 100% like this is me, but this is the closest one. So here's what I want you to do, and I'm going to do it with you. You will see on your worksheets an exercise, and it says pick your favorite superhero and fill in the blanks. So you write the name of the superhero, you write, and you just copy it from above. You write stands for and stand against. Okay. I hate terrorists too. I just saying, like, I don't wake up and scribble it on the wall how much I hate them. Like, it's just a thing that I don't like. Now create your superhero identity by tweaking the proven one above. So all you're going to do is you're going to leave what you also believe in, and you're going to change or be more clear. So let me give you an example. Iron Man, he stands for innovation, capitalism, personal growth. He stands against terrorism, ignorance, and threats. So what I made was, whoops, dang clicker. I made Iron Dan. Iron Dan doesn't mean anything. It just made sense to say Iron Dan. He stands for, so I stand for becoming the best. I don't like good enough. I don't want to just win. For first place isn't good enough to me. I want the second place winner to be so utterly discouraged through the competition that they never play the game again. I want to be the best that's ever done it, period. Because maybe I don't become the best that's ever done it, but if I even attempt to become the best that's ever done it, I'll at least be a lot better than most people. That's my true belief. It's the attempt. So I believe in becoming the best. I also believe in harsh truths. You guys will notice that I'm not like Russell or Dean. I'm not like, hey guys, I'm definitely not like Amy Porterfield. Let's drink tea and crumpets and talk about Facebook ads. I love Amy. I love Russell. I love Dean. Dean's probably the nicest guy I've ever met in my entire life. And that's saying something because I also know Russell. But I'm not like them. I'm like, dude, you suck. Here's why you suck. Let's make you not suck. That's just me. That's who I am. I never got value from people being nice to me. I got value from people slapping me upside the head and saying, dude, seriously, like, you're messing up. I like harsh truths. I like creativity. If you guys ever see any of my ads, they're extremely creative. They're funny, creative. I love capitalism, so I left that one. I love personal growth. Huge. So I left that one. What do I stand against? I hate the school system. I think the United States school system is the worst thing that's ever been invented. I don't like censorship. I'm not a fan of censorship at all. So I was very happy when Elon Musk bought Twitter. Sue me. I don't like ignorance because I think most ignorance is self-induced. So I don't like it. I don't like mediocrity. I do not like the concept that it's good enough. I don't like it. Why are you here? Like, why are you here? I don't like sugarcoating because to me, it's a waste of time. I could sit here and I could be nice to you and I could dance around words, or I could just tell you what you're doing wrong so you can fix it and make more money. That's me. And I also don't like what most people say. Now, you'll notice I said that a lot. I said, I don't, most people. So it's very clear what I stand for and stand against. So I'm doing this with you. Now, listen, some of you may not resonate with this, and that's okay. Because you want to find your perfect people. You want to find your tribe. And you can't find your tribe if you don't know what you stand for and you don't know what you stand against. So this right here is what there we go. Okay. So I want you to do this. I want you to write down your favorite superhero, and I want to write down your version of the superhero. Come up with a little name for it. I'm Iron Dan. Maybe your name's Stan, so you're Iron Stan, or you're Super Mary, or you're Bat David. Just come up with Captain Zach Sparrow. You can't get any better than that, man. You can't get any better than that. Okay? So real quick, guys, before I move on, does this little superhero exercise help you understand what a frickin' personal brand is? Does this help you? Like, do you believe today you have more clarity than you've ever had on what your personal brand is? Yes? Yes? Pretty good? Mind-blowing? All right, now, but pause before I continue. We need to understand what value is. So, did you get value? Was this substantially more value? And this is the key. And tell me if I'm wrong. Was this substantially more valuable than other content you have seen on how to create a personal brand? Let me know in the chat. Be honest with me. 100%. Yes, absolutely. You're not wrong. For sure. The best. Okay. Why? Is it because I'm smart? No, it's because I studied Dan Kennedy. And Dan Kennedy taught me most people, when they teach you to create a personal brand, they are explaining to you how to create a personal brand. I did not explain to you how to create a personal brand. I simplified how to create a personal brand. I didn't teach you anything you didn't already know. How many times have you heard people say, you got to know what you stand for. You got to know what you stand against. You got to know what your values are. You got to know what your principles are. You got to tell stories. Tell the stories. How many times have you heard that? You hear it all day long. Beat into your brain. But for some reason, you got it when I explained it to you. Because I didn't explain it. I simplified it. That's the difference. That is value. When you try to explain concepts to your people, that is not value. Simplify. That is value. Does everybody now? So now that you know what a personal brand is, do you also know what value is? Oh, I see some head explosions. Okay. Zach, you said no. Value is when you take a concept and you simplify it rather than explain it. I didn't explain anything. I simplified it. Every single one of you have heard every word on this board you've already heard. Somebody's already said it to you. They just didn't say it to you in the right sequence that made sense to you. Simplify. Don't explain. Okay? All right. So next. All right. So the purpose of stories. This is straight from the manual that Russell gave me from Dan. This is straight from the manual. Purpose of stories. So Dan Kennedy said, no matter how much you like a story, if it doesn't have a purpose, rid yourself of it. Too often do we hang on, we're monkeys. We hang on to that banana and we don't pull it out of the box. You hang on to that story that doesn't have a purpose. It has to have a purpose. All right. So here are the purpose of stories. First is to explain yourself or your origin. So to tell your backstory, why you're here, why they should listen to you. Why you're here, explain something. And I don't mean explain a concept. I mean explain who you are, why you're here, etc. Your origin. To gain authority. To gain authority is, look, why should I listen to you? Like, why should I listen to you? Why Why do I care? Why are you a credible person? So the story I told you about when I went from being broke to doing multiple 8 figures from reading Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson books, that gives me the authority to speak on this topic. Otherwise, why would you even listen to me? So that's why I told that story. To compress time and establish backstory. So I could sit here and ramble on for an hour about how I went from a broke pizza boy to making millions of dollars, or I could say in my early 20s, I delivered pizza with my dad at Domino's. And I learned a valuable lesson from my dad that I took with me into being a millionaire. 2 sentences, I've said the same thing. So you can use a story to compress time. I mean, how many times have you guys told a backstory in the last 30 minutes? And people are like, you can make, so there was this is going to hit some of you in the feels. There's an example in the manual that said, there was a contest one day. I think this is in the manual. There was a contest one day where Ernest Hemingway, he won it. It was how to create the best but shortest story. And Ernest Hemingway won. Does anybody know about this story that Ernest Hemingway wrote? It's literally like 2 sentences. It's a whole story. Exactly. Here's the story. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. Baby shoes for sale, never worn. Now, is what, 5 words? You heard the whole thing. You know the whole story. Yeah, exactly. So to compress time and establish backstory. Next, to convey empathy. Listen, you got to tell stories that convey empathy. You got to know what it's like. They need to know that they're like you, right? Like I oftentimes will tell stories about my shiny object syndrome. I'll tell stories about how frustrating it was for me to, share stuff from my life because I thought it might have been embarrassing. And when I got over that, those embarrassing moments actually were my best content. So you'd tell a story about those. Also to create bonds, right? If you're not a fan of the public education system and you're not a fan of being an employee, and I tell you stories about how much I hate that, we've now created a bond because I've shared a story that allows us to bond over a common enemy. To make self human and therefore believable. I messed up this slide. That's 2 slides. It's supposed to say to present an inconvenient truth. So just note that slide's a little off. But to make self human and therefore believable. So what that means is if you seem perfect, nobody's going to believe you, right? I delivered pizza for 7 years. I share that. Russell has shared multiple stories of how he couldn't pay his employees at one of his companies prior to him understanding and learning funnels. We're human. We're fallible. We make mistakes. You got to tell stories around this to make yourself believable. If you're perfect, nobody's going to believe you. To present an inconvenient truth. So I told the story of the lemonade stand at the beginning to present to you an inconvenient truth that you don't know what you're doing. Like you don't know what to say to customers, and that's your problem. It's an inconvenient truth, but it's the truth. So that was what that was for. To present a philosophy. So to present a way of thinking that gets them on board with your way of thinking. To teach or glorify a value we need them to believe in to buy. This could be a value we believe in. This could be a value linked to them buying what we sell that we need conformance with, or a value contrary to past thinking. So it's kind of like some sub reasons, but look, some of you don't believe in something because you never heard of it. Some of you believe in something already, but we need to remind you of it. Some of you believe that marketing stories don't work in marketing. So I've told multiple stories this event to show you that they do. And finally, to build up courage. Build up courage is big. Jordan Belfort said that there are 3 reasons why someone doesn't buy from you. They either don't trust you, they don't trust your product, or they don't trust your company. I believe there is a 4th Jordan Belfort says there are 3. Dan Henry says there are 4. And the 4th is this. They don't believe in themselves enough to make your product work. They don't believe in themselves. So it's important. It's absolutely important to tell stories that build up their courage. So this may, let's see, where's my next slide? All right, I'll get to this in a second. This may seem hard to you, right? But I want you to think about it like this. Science, what if I told you that science proves that there's no such thing as easy or hard? Who here is familiar with Einstein's theory of relativity? Are you guys familiar with this? You familiar? It's all relative, right? Now I want you to think about this. Think about the first time that you rode a bike. Think about the first time you rode a bike. When you first thought about it, and you first saw it, and there were in this bike balancing, right? Especially the idea of taking off the training wheels. Didn't you feel it was hard? I know. I thought it was impossible. Okay. I was this little kid, and I was like, there is no way I'll ever be able to take off these training wheels. I don't think it's possible. And so I literally thought it was impossible to ride a bike. Yet, fast forward to today, I haven't ridden a bike in probably a year. But now, today, not only is it easy, it's not just easy, it's effortless. Now, the bike didn't change. It still has 2 wheels. It still has handlebars. It's the same bike. It's the same bike. The only difference is now it seems effortless, then it seemed impossible. Now it seems easy, then it seemed hard. But nothing changed except your frame of reference. That's it. The truth is, nothing is easy or hard. Everything hard today can be easy tomorrow. It's all how you think about it. It's all completely how you think about it. Nothing is hard. Nothing is easy. The only thing that makes something hard is if you think it's hard. That is it. You think telling stories is hard. You think this is hard. It's not hard. And it's not easy either. It just is. It just is. It's all about, it is what you make it. It's all how you make it. Okay. So I'm going to go a little late today, guys, just so you know. I'm definitely going to go late. Probably going to go about 20 minutes late. So just letting you know. Okay. So we're going to have to move through this quickly because I just realized the time. Do you guys mind if I go just a little bit late? All right. 4 types of stories. First is this is simple. First is your personal experience, stories from your life. Second is someone else's personal experience. These are historical stories. Third is parable. This is a fictional story. This is a story that you made up, just like, for instance, the lemonade thing. I made that up. It's a parable. Fable is the same thing, but it's known fiction. It's known fiction. Okay? So if you tell a story that everybody knows and then you relate it to a principle, that is a fable. If you make it up yourself, that's a parable. If it's a historical story or from pop culture or somebody else's, that's historical. And if it's your own personal experience, then it's a personal story. If you think about it that way, that's pretty easy. Okay. Not yet. Okay. All right. So let's talk about stories here real quick. And I'm gonna give you some examples. Now tomorrow I'm gonna show you what stories look like in actual marketing, but today we're just gonna stay conceptual. So I'll give you an example. You guys have seen this clipboard I've been using remember the clipboard I said I got off Amazon? Now I want to ask you all a question. Would anybody here like people to not haggle with you over price? Would anybody here love it if customers didn't care about what you charged? Say me if you would love that. Yes, I would. Okay. I'm going to illustrate this to you. So who here would buy this little clipboard briefcase for $1,000? Who would buy this for $1,000? This little clipboard briefcase. Okay. Okay, so Owen says nah. He says no. Okay, no thanks. G Tucker says no thanks. All right. Israka. There we go. It depends on what's in it. You see, there is a difference between mediocre thinking and millionaire thinking. There's a difference between poor people and rich people, or what would eventually be a rich person. That's how you think. You see, mediocre thinkers who stay poor, they say, well, no, it's $1,000. What, like, why would I do that? Because they care about what it costs. But millionaires don't care about what it costs. Millionaires care about what they get. More importantly, they care about what they would lose if they didn't do it. And in this case, there's $100,000 in the briefcase. So they would have lost $99,000. Mediocre thinkers care about what it costs. Millionaire thinkers care about what's inside. They care about what they get. And in this case, you would have lost thinking like mediocre. Being a mediocre thinker, the way school taught you to think, you just lost 99 grand. But when you think like a millionaire, you would at least ask the question, what's inside? Millionaires think about what they get. Why do you think I offered Russell 10 grand for that manual? Because I knew that I'd make millions from it. So I didn't care that it was just paper glued together. I don't care because I think like a millionaire. I learned to anyway. I'm blessed because I used to think like an idiot or mediocre. So is worrying about the cost of things mediocre thinking or millionaire thinking? Mediocre thinking or millionaire thinking? Mediocre. Do you want to be mediocre or do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to be mediocre or do you want to be a millionaire? Millionaire, absolutely. When you tell the right stories, your customers will care more about what's inside than what it costs. Let me repeat that one for people in the back. When you tell the right stories, your customers will care more about what's inside rather than what it costs. Period. Okay? If anybody would like me to cover more of this, because I am running out of time, I want to do an extra session. Would anybody like me to do an extra session? Just a casual one without all the fancy camera, just sitting here doing Q&A? Okay, ClickFunnels team, can we make that happen? I'll do an extra session maybe day after, or I think we have it scheduled actually. If Molly could remind me when that extra session is, the one that is, I believe it's the next day after tomorrow, Thursday. I'll do an extra session for you guys. Okay, so they'll announce it. We'll do it. I'll do an extra session because I want to cover more of this. So here's some exercises I want you all to do today. I want you to list your customers' limiting beliefs. List some of your customers' limiting beliefs, okay? And list 5 beliefs that you need your customers to adopt to buy your stuff, all right? All right, couple things. I'm going to tell you, would anybody like to hear a good example of a story that can, well, actually, I'll tell you two. And then I got something special for you. So one of the best things you can do is you can tell a story from something you learned from your parents or something that happened when you were a kid. For instance, my father, I used to work with my dad at Domino's when I was in my early 20s. Now, everybody at Domino's hated my dad because they would drive fast and he would drive slow. My dad was slow as molasses in January. But he would always make more money than all the other drivers. It was the craziest thing. He would make more money. He'd get tipped more, even though he took less deliveries. So one day I go up to him and I say, Dad, how are you doing this? Like, I don't understand. Like, what are you like giving extras or something? Like, what's going on? Right? What are you doing? And he's like, no, I have a magic notebook. I said, what's a magic notebook? What are you talking about? He's like, well, and he shows me this notebook he has, right? And he says, when I go to a delivery, I walk up to the door and I give them their pizza and I say, hey, what's going on in your life? How are things going? And usually they'll tell me something like, oh, my dog broke his leg, my son's in the hospital, etc. And they'll tell me that. So then I'll go back to my car, I'll open my magic notebook. This is the manual, but you know what I'm saying. Open the magic notebook and I'll write down the address and I'll write down what they said. Son in hospital. The next time I go to the delivery, before I go up and deliver the pizza, I'll open the magic notebook. I'll look at the address. I'll look at what happened. I'll close it and I'll walk up to the door and I'll say, hey, how is your son doing? How is his surgery? How is his surgery? And instantly, that customer, the whole expression on their face will change. And I'll go from getting a $3 tip to like a $10 tip. And I was like, whoa, are you serious? So I started doing my own magic notebook. And sure enough, people were like, they loved me. And they just, started tipping me more. And I started making more money. Now, listen, my dad is not an entrepreneur. He's not a business guy. Clearly, worked at Domino's. But he taught me some amazing things in life. And I carried some of these lessons that helped me become a millionaire. And that is this. People who connect pay more. When you can connect with your customer, they will pay more. As I said the other day, if you have a wife who's pregnant, you go to the doctor and one is cheap, one is expensive. And she says, I really connected with this doctor. He really made me feel comfortable. What doctor are you going with? Unless you want to sleep on the couch for 6 months, you're going with the expensive doctor. Why? Because your wife connected. Okay. If you can get your customers to connect, they will pay more. They won't care how much the briefcase costs because you told stories that connected. They will care what's inside. And that is what you want. You want to connect. That's what you want. So I'll give you an example of how you can do this. If you are, let's say you're a financial planner. I could tell that same story and I could say, and it taught me a valuable lesson to work smarter, not harder. My dad had the magic notebook. He worked smarter, not harder. That is why I love to help entrepreneurs who work hard at growing their wealth. I believe the smartest thing is to let me work hard at preserving their wealth. If you're a real estate agent coach, I believe that you should work smarter, not harder. And that's why I teach my real estate agents to only do luxury real estate, because they're going to let their clients work hard at making the money to buy these big houses. And all they have to do is connect people and do some paperwork. And it's smarter to grow your own wealth 1 6-figure commission check at a time. And that's why I learned that it's better to work smarter, not harder. And that's why we created ClickFunnels. So instead of using 15 different softwares to string everything together and build your own website and code your own stuff, you can use ClickFunnels and in 10 minutes you can have a funnel. We created this because we believe that you should work smarter, not harder. See, you can use the same story for multiple things. Would anybody like to hear one more story that I use all the time at the beginning of speeches? I didn't use it at this speech, but it really, really helps. And then I want to tell you about something we have for you guys today. And really quickly, I'm going to message my YouTube guy and I'm going to tell him I'm going to be 20 minutes late. Because I'm going to be, hey, Scott, I'm going to be 15, 20 minutes late. I'm still on the challenge. I will be on the call as soon as I can. All right. So my wife, who I love my wife dearly. My wife worked 3 jobs while I was trying to make this thing work, believed in me, even though I didn't make a penny for 6 months. And then next thing you know, millionaire. She has been my rock. She has been my biggest supporter. Yes, it's Scott. We were even divorced for 5 years. And the whole time we both supported each other a lot. And we ended up getting remarried. Mostly because I got my shit together. But I remember one day recently, and just so you know, I lift a lot of weights. I drink probably 3 protein shakes a day. I probably spent about 200 prior to this story. I spent about $150, $200 a month on almond milk because I don't drink dairy. I hate American dairy. If any of you have ever left the United States or lived outside of the United States, you would probably hate American dairy as well. And so, the sales letter to Russell. Yes, I'll read it here in a second. Okay, so maybe 25 minutes over. I did. I posted it in this group, by the way. Okay. Oh, you know what? I posted it in the group. You guys can go read it in the group later, but let me finish the story. So one day I come home and there's this big carafe of what looked like almond milk, huge carafe. And I walk in and I go, why is there a big thing of milk on the counter? And my wife walks up like this. And she goes, you know what this is? And I said, almond milk? She's like, yes. And she walks over to the refrigerator. She opens up the refrigerator and she grabs out some store-bought almond milk. She says, you know what this is? Almond milk? And she says, yes. And this has all of these, my wife's from Turkey. She doesn't like American food either. But she said, this has all these chemicals and additives and sugar and all this stuff you shouldn't be eating. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? I don't know what to do. She's like, and it costs $6 a carton. You spend like almost $200 a month on this. I said, okay. So she says, you see what this is? And she points back to the big carafe. She says, this is homemade almond milk. And she picks up this big black, I don't know what it was, big jug thing. She says, this is an almond milk maker. It costs $50 on Amazon, and it takes a little teeny tiny palm full of almonds and some water to create this big carafe of almond milk. The whole thing is twice the size of a carton. It probably costs 20 cents to make. And it is pure almonds and water, has none of these additives. And I go, well, damn. I go, and my wife was right. I was ingesting all this bad stuff that I shouldn't be ingesting, and I was overspending on almond milk. Now, that expense, both in health and in money, it's interesting because the most expense we have in life and the most pain and suffering, it comes from a simple thing. You see, I was spending too much on almond milk because of one simple reason. I didn't know you could make homemade almond milk. And most of the pain and suffering and expense in life comes from things we do not know. And maybe almond milk's not a huge expense, but in your business, when you don't know how to market, the expense for that is far greater than some almond milk. And that right there is what I want to solve for you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of day one yesterday, I made a startling admission to you that I was willing to tell you what we were selling at this challenge. And I told you it was the Renegade Millionaire Mastermind, which is $25,000. I said, by the end of this event, you will be smart enough to know if it is for you or not. You're smart enough to know if you being in a group of people who are all doing this day in and day out at meetings with Darcy, who I'm going to talk about tomorrow in depth. Darcy, who is an amazing person. She heads up the mastermind. That's what I talked to you about. Now, listen, if you want to join that mastermind for $25,000, you go right ahead. But for those of you who are not ready to invest at that level, would you like to hear another offer that could be a little bit better for you? Would you like to hear another offer that is not as much of an investment, but still will massively help you? Yes? You'd like to hear it? Yes? All right. I got it for you. So, we have an offer for you today. And let's bring up the slide. I'm not going to make this a big dramatic thing. I'm going to be very clear. If you want to hear the offer, here is what it is. It is the Magnetic Story Selling System. I'm going to tell you exactly what you get with this system. First thing you're going to get is the How to Create Personality and Copy by Dan Kennedy. This is an hour and 30 minutes. Now, I want you to notice something about these red values here. These are not made up values. These are prices that if you went and you purchased these things, or or what they've been sold at previously, if you purchase these, this is what you pay for them. So these aren't like, oh, it's worth this. No, this is what it costs. So this is like real prices. This is not, I just want to be clear. These are real prices that if you went and bought it right now, you could buy it and this is what it would cost. So first is How to Create Personality and Copy by Dan Kennedy, an hour and 30 minutes of Dan Kennedy. Remember I talked about those hidden recordings that Russell showed me? This is one of them. $397 value because that's what it's been sold for in the past. Okay. And then and that's what they sell it for now at Magnetic Marketing. Thankfully, Russell found these. Second is Influential Communication and Writing Workshop. This is 12 hours and 20 minutes at $2,997 value. That's what you would pay for it. Next is the Attractive Character Training by Russell Brunson. This is 2 hours and it's a $2,142 value. This is Russell talking about how to create your attractive character. Next is Designing Your Character. How to design it. This is an hour long and it's a $1,071 value. Then there's the Epiphany Bridge training. 2 hours. $2,142. Then is the Breaking False Beliefs training with Russell. 2 hours. $1,000 value. And finally, an Inner Circle event recording. You can get an event recording of Inner Circle. This is a $697 value. I have no idea why that value is only $697. That should be a $10,000 value. But finally, let me ask you a question. This is like 19 hours of content or something like that. Be honest. Are you guys going to go over the next week? Are you going to go through 19 hours of content, figure out what to do, and then go do it? Are you really going to do that? Or are you going to watch this stuff over time? You're probably going to watch. Yeah, exactly. Not really. Now, would it help you? Yes. But here's the thing. What if the manual I've been talking about, which is called Magnetic Story Selling, what if this manual was basically an SOP process, a condensed version of everything you just saw here, put down in it's a big book because there's a lot of stuff here, but literally, you do this. You just do what it says, and you will have magnetic marketing. All in the book. So if you never watched or listened to any of these trainings, and you just had this, you could implement over the next week. I read this in a week and I implemented, and all my marketing blew up. Not only that, but I want you to imagine all of these recordings as sort of a web that all go to one source, which is this manual. Inside the manual are QR codes. So as you're going through it, you can scan a QR code and go right to the elaborated training, which you see here, if you want. So this right here is literally your master key to all these trainings. You can read it and immediately implement it, or you can just scan the code and go and study it at a deeper level. How cool is that? This is like literally, this is your last pass. This is your master key to all these trainings, which I've never seen done before. And that's why I think this is amazing, because not only do you have the manual with how to do everything, but then when you scan the code and you listen to Dan explain it in more detail, then you're just like, whoosh. But I'm sure you're going to go through that training. But if you want to implement now, this is literally the centerpiece of all this. This is the brain of all of it. How cool is that? That said, I get my clicker to work. Bonuses. Obviously, you got to have bonuses, right? Why wouldn't we have bonuses? So, the first bonus, reverse engineering stories that sell with 12 examples. These are crafted stories that worked for all different types of businesses. The reason why there's question marks here is because, as far as I know, it's never been sold. At least it's never been packaged and sold. So we don't know what the value is. I'm not going to give you, for me personally, I don't put a value on something that I haven't sold. So that's why I put question mark there. So you will have to determine what you feel that value is. I'm not going to add that into the calculation because, as far as I know, it was never sold. I could be wrong, though. I've only been at Magnetic Marketing for 3 days, and tomorrow's my last day. So next is Ultra Advanced Sales and Persuasion Strategies by Dan Kennedy. It's a 2-hour training. It's been sold for $797. So The total real value is $13,311. And when I say the total real value, I don't mean this, oh, it's this total value. No, this is real. Like if you purchased everything separately, this is what you would pay. This is real value. Today, only $10,000. I'm just kidding. That's not $10,000. We got a much better deal for you today. You can get it all today for just $19.97. You get every single one of those trainings. You get everything. You get the manual. You get the Magnetic Story Selling Manual. And you go to magneticstoryselling.com/go and you can get all that. But if you are still on the fence, ladies and gentlemen, I have some bonuses. Who here would like to hear my bonuses? I'm going to throw in some bonuses. Would anybody like to hear these bonuses? Let me know in the chat. I have personal bonuses. Yes? Yes? Amazing. All right. Here are my bonuses. Number 1, tomorrow after the final session, and we still have more to cover tomorrow, and I'm going to give you homework right after this. But tomorrow, after the general session, that evening, I'm going to be doing a VIP meet and greet session. So if you purchase the Magnetic Story Selling System, you get all that stuff. You get the manual, which it's so much gold. You get all of this. I will do a session where every single one of you that has actually taken this offer, you will come on a very chill Zoom call. I'll stay on for 2-3 hours if I have to. And I'm going to bring people on, and I'm going to help you personally with your offer, your marketing, your brand, your magnetic persona, and stories that you can tell to blow up your business. That is going to happen tomorrow night. So if you're thinking, oh, well, this bonus is still going to be around a couple of days later. No, it won't, because it's happening tomorrow night. So it's happening tomorrow night. So if you don't buy before tomorrow night, you don't get it because that's when it's happening. I can't move time. So this is definitely an expiring offer. Who here would like to be in on that VIP meet and greet? Who would like to be in on that? Yes, the book's going to be shipped. It's not a book. It's a manual. the manual is going to be shipped physically, but no, I don't believe that there is going to be. This is too valuable to make digital. This is too valuable. Okay, you need to read this. You need to smell it. You need to smell the dead trees. Okay, this is the Bible of marketing. Okay, I don't need any other Dan Kennedy book. I still have them, but if I didn't need them, if I was on a desert island, I need one book to market my way off the island. This would be it. All right. So VIP meet and greet session with Dan Henry. Now I have one more thing, one more bonus, and I'm gonna show you guys this slide tomorrow. Remember how I told you I created a webinar that even though everybody and their brother sold the same exact offer, how to create a Facebook ads agency, I dominated with that webinar. I made $10 million with that webinar. So profitable that I was buying multiple mansions. I got a mansion in Costa Rica. I got a penthouse in Costa Rica. I got a penthouse in downtown St. Pete. I got a $1 million mountain house in the mountains of Costa Rica. I got a house for my mother. I got a house for my father. I'm like Oprah. Here's a house. Here's a house. All from webinars. Most of it from webinars and speaking. This webinar, I did this amazing little training. 3.5 hours. It is called the 8-Figure Webinar Director's Commentary. Well, Dan, that's me, will break down every slide from a sales presentation that did $10 million using what you have learned here today. That webinar was everything I talked about today in a slide deck. And what I did was I took a 3.5 hour session. I went slide by slide, and on camera, I talked about why I did what I did when I did it in each slide and what I would do differently in today's market. That's why it's 3.5 hours. Every single slide. So I'm playing the webinar. I'm hearing myself speak, and I'm doing director's commentary on that webinar. How valuable. Now, let me guys ask you, if you don't believe that one bonus is worth $2,000 alone, then you don't know the value. You either hate money or you don't know math, and you shouldn't be on this webinar. All right. You guys can have that absolutely free as a bonus when you take this offer for the Magnetic Story Selling System. Okay, so that is the offer today. So one more time. Let's see, we got so that's the total real value. Total real value of $17,305. That's not a made up value. That's a real value. Today, only $19.97. You can go to magneticstoryselling.com/go. I have some homework for you today. First thing you're going to do is you're going to post your superhero identity in the group. Iron Dan, Iron Stan, whatever it is, post it in the group. You're going to write another story based off, now knowing what you stand for, now knowing what you stand against, now thinking about maybe something you learned from your father, something you learned from your mother, something that happened to you, and aligning that with something they need to believe in to buy from you. I want you to write that story. I want you to go to copyanalyzer.ai. I want you to paste it in, hit analyze, look at the suggestions it gives you, and then revise the copy based on the feedback and share that in the Facebook group. And finally, I want you to film a video about your biggest takeaway from day 2 and post it in the Facebook group. And the reason we do this is 2 reasons. One, somebody out there probably missed the golden nugget that you got. And by you posting it in the group, you're helping each other learn this stuff. And the second reason is it gives you an opportunity to practice on camera, practice your magnetic personality, practice your brand, and do that. So please post that video. I have a question. What is copyanalyzer.ai? Really quickly, I made a list of laws from Dan Kennedy based on this manual. And I checked all my copy against those laws, and I would constantly break those laws, so I would fix my copy based on those laws. But I wanted to work smarter, not harder, so I hired an 18-year-old developer who is a beast. He developed me a AI software called Copy Analyzer, and all it does very simply is you paste your copy in, and it uses AI to check your copy against those laws that I made, so you know you're always following the laws of copy, and you're following the principles in this book. You can paste your copy into Copy Analyzer AI, and it will show you how good your copy is based on the greatest copywriters of all time, mainly Mr. Dan Kennedy. Go ahead and do that. The VIP meet and greet is tomorrow at 7 p.m. How do you access it? You go to copyanalyzer.ai. That's how you do it. All right, guys. So once again, that is the offer today. Go to magneticstoryselling.com/go if you want to get the manual. This is alone worth $2,000. My bonuses are alone worth $2,000, but you get all of those amazing products from Dan Kennedy, all those recordings. It's his best stuff. It's amazing. Go to magneticstoryselling.com/go. We have done so well lately, and I can tell you right now, it's because of this right here. I have literally I've taken this everywhere, every plane I've been on, everywhere I've gone, I have taken this, and all I do is I crack it open, and as soon as I crack it open, I mean, look at this. Principle of legend. You want to know what to be known for? This page tells you how to know what to be known for and how to engineer your audience to be people. Big brands, they're known for things by design. This page right here will teach you how to make sure you're known for a specific thing. You want to be known for something, you want to be known for whatever you want to be known for, read this page in the manual. Read this page and you will know how to be known for whatever it is you want to be known for. All right? magneticstoryselling.com/go. I'll see you all tomorrow. The sales letter is in the group. Perhaps I'll come on and read it tomorrow, but I posted it in the group. Thank you guys so much. Sorry for going late. I will see you all tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be a doozy. I kicked it up today. It's going to be kicked up even more tomorrow. I will see you then.